What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Scent Bubble. I am your host for the very late night. Today, we're going to talk about a fragrance that might be one of my favorite purchases of 2024 in the cologne category. And I waited so long to pull the trigger on this fragrance simply because of the bottle presentation. But boy, was I wrong. This fragrance is an absolute must have if you're a fan of the fragrance it's cloning. We're going to get into it. But before we do, check out that intro. All right, what's going on, guys? Again, you're rocking with me in the Scent Bubble, and today we are going to look at, excuse me, a clone of Maison Francis Kurkdjian's Grand Soir. That's right. I absolutely love that fragrance. I do believe it's unisex, but when you think Grand Soir, the fragrance profile really fits the name. We've got vanilla, we've got amber, we've got powder, and that is just ramped up to just be this heavy beast mode of a fragrance, though it's soft in terms of its profile. It's hard to describe this. I don't know how a fragrance can be pungent and rich and dense, yet still have a soft character to it, but be a projective monster. But Grand Soir is. Going into the note breakdown without showing you guys, it's got amber, vanilla, benzoin, tonka bean, labdanum, and lavender. Lavender out of the window. This is amber and vanilla and powder. And gosh, does it smell rich. It really does. And so I assumed after I smelled the original, which I have right here, that, let me get another whiff. Oh, just so luxurious. Like, it's vanilla. How do I say this? It's vanilla that is spruced up to be super rich, creamy, powdery, but it also comes off in a character way too, because this smells like something that only the rich of the rich could get their hands on. It's luxurious vanilla. It's luxurious amber. And it's just such a captivating fragrance, man, for cold weather. For me personally, I don't like gourmands. I don't like smelling like food. I like smelling tasty. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I love about this fragrance. You smell tasty, but you don't quite smell like a cupcake. You're borderline, though, with this fragrance because it's so rich, so forward. Projection is crazy. Sillage is crazy. You're walking a fine line, but I think with this profile, it's the one exception I'll make where it's just borderline gourmand, and I gotta have it. This is from the house of Lattafa, and this is Eternal Oud. Now, man, when I tell you that this bottle looks like your great grandfather was both a wizard and a perfumer, I'm not off, man. I'm not off at all. I gotta say, I'm pretty accurate with that. This borderline looks like a magic wand. This looks like Harry Potter's go-to grab fragrance that he's been hiding from the world. But if we can get past that and get to the fragrance, this is the closest you could possibly get to one of Grand Soir. I've tried other fragrances. There's other modern fragrance inspirations, such as Dun Soir from the Fragrance By line, I believe. But man, none of those fragrances are holding a candle to it. They try and get to the DNA, but then they make a giant swerve off into the inspiration category. This stays true to form. If you can get past the initial blast, which I wouldn't say is alcoholic, it just, the initial blast won't give you an immediate Dun Soir vibe. The initial opening of it is probably like 75%. It's so odd that it is, but the moment you get even 2 minutes into the dry down, it settles immediately into Grand Soir. Man, that fragrance is awesome. I want to put it on skin just to give you a fair assessment because skin does react differently than the paper. And while we let these dry down a bit, let's go ahead and take you to the note breakdown. So Grand Soir here, very linear, amber, vanilla, benzoin, tonka bean, labdanum, lavender. Linear. We're not seeing a top, mid, and a bottom. And really from this, you smell vanilla and amber. Obviously, the tonka bean contributes to that sweetness. The lavender you don't get at all, and the benzoin and labdanum are just really ramping this fragrance up, putting it right in front of your face and giving you crazy sillage, crazy scent trail, crazy scent bubble, and longevity. This fragrance sits on the clothes the next day. You're getting 8 hours plus, 12 hours plus on the original. Now let's go to Eternal Oud. Now, I'm going to try to help you sort through this if you're somebody considering this fragrance and you come across this note breakdown. You have to ignore this. On the dry down, this fragrance very much is amber, vanilla, tonka bean, okay? And it's ramped up by the labdanum and the benzoin. Now, the plum and grapefruit, heliotrope, orchid, and oud that's listed here, I gotta tell you, it's not showing itself in this fragrance at all. What I can tell you is so just to clarify here, you're not gonna smell plum, grapefruit, orchid, or agarwood. The only thing that I would make an exception for in this note breakdown is the orchid and maybe the plum. And that's because I told you this is like the closest thing you'll get to Grand Soir. When you talk about the density of Grand Soir in terms of the jeez, in terms of the richness of the vanilla and the powderiness of Grand Soir, it gets the DNA like 95%. The only difference with Eternal Oud is it's just a touch lighter. And I hate to even use that descriptor because it's still very much rich. It's still very much powdery and very much ambery. On a scale, if Grand Soir was a 10 out of 10 in terms of heaviness, density, and powder, Eternal Oud is like 9.5. Like they are so close, and I'm splitting hairs when I describe it. Out in the air, I think you might kind of detect that little 0.5% difference only to fragrance lovers and only to yourself because ideally you've smelled the original. But man, dude, this is scary close. It doesn't even really deviate. The only thing that really happens is I think the orchid and plum just lighten the vanilla up a touch. Like you might kind of get a dark floral, I don't even want to say tinge because again, I don't explicitly smell orchid or plum or any of the other ones, even the oud. It just lightens it up to where if I really put my nose to it, I kind of get a slight orchidy, dark plum, like light freshness to this. But man, it's almost non-existent. And I would question if I would even smell that in the air. I might just be able to describe it in person outside as, oh, it's just a tiny bit less powdery and vanilla-y. But man, it is just scary how good they got and how close they got to the original Grand Soir. I ran through this tester bottle so fast. This is a fragrance where you can't just wear it for one day. If you have an excuse to wear it, you will run it back to back to back to back. Utter sophistication. Who would have thought that amber and vanilla could smell so sophisticated, so rich, and so classy? I could picture this on a man. I could picture this on a woman. And I could picture the scenarios they would be in. Cold climates, this is a monster. Cooler temperatures, this is a beast. Wouldn't really wear it in warm climate. Maybe sun is out, but it's a windy day or overcasty day. That's what you're going to rock for this fragrance if you even kind of wore it in warm weather or wanted to consider it. But gosh, man, this is just an absolute beast. 100 ml probably costed me in the $30 range, and it's available on most discounters. This is a steal. This is a gem. If you like Grand Soir, a lot of these rappers and famous people rock Grand Soir. If you want to get close to that and you don't want to spend the money, this is so dang close, man. I challenge you to buy a sample of Grand Soir and then get the full bottle of Eternal Oud and just put them arm to arm. All you're going to smell in Grand Soir is a little bit more powder, maybe the tiniest percent of richness. You will not be disappointed at all that you got this fragrance. And you must get this fragrance, in my opinion, if you like vanilla. Any of those amber vanilla-y spice type fragrances, this is killing all of them. And it's just because of the DNA that it comes from. Went through occasions, age. I would almost argue that this is ageless and sexless. You know, it is a unisex fragrance, but I would almost argue that it might be ageless, but it's such a rich, classy, creamy, powdery vanilla that as a super young guy, you might look awkward wearing this. Like you might look like you stole your parents' fragrance. But I don't know, man. I think 20 and up could get away with it. On the safe side, 25 and up. But if you're somebody who knows to wear this in colder climate and you don't look like a boy, you know, you've got some swag to you, not even formal, just if you've got some swag at all, this might be a showstopper for the young people. Heck of a fragrance, guys. Are you considering buying Eternal Oud? Consider it no further. This is, I think, blind buy worthy as long as you watched this video before you pulled the trigger. And even though the bottle is a little bit crazy, it will be a unique bottle in your collection, no doubt. And I think anyone looking at this from afar would have no clue, judging by sight alone, that this is one of the best fragrances in your collection, without question. So, you know, props to them for hiding the gem, so to speak, in that you would never guess that this is Grand Soir, and you would never guess the beauty that lies in this bottle until you pick it up and spray it. Maybe I might decant this and give this to some subscribers just so they can see just how amazing that this DNA is. You must get your nose on this DNA. But at this point, I'm just echoing sentiments I've already given you. Pick up this fragrance without question, and leave your comments below if you have this type of fragrance, or if you agree with me or disagree with me. All feedback is welcome. And until next time, thank you for rocking with me in the scent bubble. This is Lattafa's Eternal Oud, cloning Grand Soir to utter perfection. And we're signing off. Have a wonderful, blessed night, guys.